Hello, everybody.
Welcome back to another episode of
A BJJ Marriage, where we talk about our lives as a married Jiu Jitsu couple.
I made it. Hello.
No. So we didn't lock the dogs out today because we thought they were going to be good. And of course, the second we decided to start recording, this one wants to come hang out with us, which means that they'll probably start fighting here very soon. Olive, go lay down.
I hope not.
Go lay down. And then she just listens.
The other one's already laying down.
Yep. She found a nice soft blanket.
I even put a pillow out for her.
Mm-hmm. Spoiled dog. Oh my gosh, I saw the craziest video today. And it was a dog. It was like I don't know if it was a stray or a runaway, but it was walking along with a leash on, but there was no owner around in sight. But it was walking along active railroad tracks, and then it got caught. And there was someone like recording from the bridge, just like, oh my gosh, there's the dog down there. And the dog ended up getting the leash tangled in the tracks, and you could hear a train coming. And the caption was just like, man saves dog or something like that. And this dude just comes bolting out from the trees and is just like running for this dog and is untangling him as fast as possible. And then he literally drags him off of the tracks the second the train gets there. Like, I'm surprised that the dog's tail didn't get hit by the train. That's how close it was. It was insane.
That's crazy.
Yeah. And I just think about our dogs because they were both strays at the time. And it makes me sad that things could happen. And things like that happen all the time. But this poor dog, like, he was just walking along and then he just got caught in the tracks. And I was like, oh no!
Dog videos.
Yeah.
Fastest way to anyone's heart.
Yeah. It was scary. But the dog's okay, in case you guys were wondering.
So far.
Person saved that dog, so we're good.
As far as we know.
Yeah. But I remember in the video, it was like, he was saying from the top of the bridge, he was just like, someone's got to go help, so I don't know. And then it kind of cut, but the person was still on the bridge, so I don't know if, like, he had a friend with him and the friend ran down, or what happened. But anyway, we can move on.
Anyways. Welcome to our podcast about dog videos and jiu-jitsu.
Yep. Married life.
Yes.
That's all we talk about, really.
What, our dogs?
Dogs and jiu-jitsu.
It's true. It's like most of our conversations.
Mm-hmm.
Like, did we talk to them about our dogs getting in a cat fight?
Oh, no. No, we did not.
That's fine. Yeah, I kind of forgot about that.
I blocked it from my memory.
Well, Scarlett now has scars on her face. There, she looks like Bruce Lee.
Yeah.
With the claw marks.
Yeah, there's a straight up paw print. So Nick was mowing the lawn, and a cat jumped over our fenced-in yard, and our dogs went absolutely ballistic trying to find this cat. And Scarlett and the cat did not get along, and now Scarlett is a walking warrior.
She's a survivor.
Yeah.
Okay, the cat came into our territory, though. It was wild.
Yeah. So then we tried to, like, I don't even know. We almost adopted a cat that day.
Yeah, the cat wouldn't leave also.
Yeah, and then it got, like, stuck in our garage, and it wouldn't come out, and then
Nick
really didn't know
liked
how
me.
to pick up a cat.
Yeah, no, it already attacked my dog. How is it not going to kill me?
We're leaving a lot of details out, but basically the whole moral of the story is Nick doesn't know how to pick up cats.
Zero idea.
He picked it up by the butt. Like, underneath where the hips are, and just lifted it by the hips, so the cat was walking on its two front legs out of the garage. I was like, Nick, pick up the cat. And he's like, I don't know how to pick up a cat. And I was like, pick up the cat. He's like, I'm afraid of cats.
It was going to get me.
It was super comical. But anyway, so he didn't pick up this cat, and so of course it ran, but it didn't run out of our yard. It just ran behind the garage. And I'm like, you can't stay here. My dog will literally kill you. My dog has killed a possum before. It will kill you.
Also, we found a dead squirrel in the process.
Yeah.
That our dog probably killed.
Yeah. Our dog is a hunting dog, apparently.
But she's a pit bull.
She's a fat little pit bull.
I don't know how she catches these things. She's not that fast. She can't even run straight.
Yeah, I don't know. But anyway, so then we got this cat out from behind our garage, and then it ran underneath my car. And if you've ever tried to get an animal out from under your car, I think you know how difficult it is. But we were also running late because we had to teach kids class. So we had to, like, run to kids class. Not run, but, like, get to kids class and leave the cat underneath my car. And we now know this cat is stagnant. It doesn't like to move. It was in the garage for 4 hours. It was behind our garage for an hour. Like, it doesn't like to move until it's forcefully moved. So we kind of figured it was still going to be under my car when we got back. So we went and taught kids, and then we left, and we came back to check on the cat. And, of course, it was still under there. So then we used a broom to, like, push it out from under the car. And then it ran under our neighbor's porch. And we're like, well,
not our problem anymore.
That's the best we can do now.
We just want to make sure that when we let our dogs out, they didn't, like, straight up go attack the cat again.
Yeah, that was our only purpose. Like, we didn't really, I guess, care too much that it was a stray. We weren't really trying to adopt it, but I just didn't want it to attack my cat anymore. And we were getting told by multiple people who were just like, they were like, shoot the cat. It attacked your dog. It's not a nice cat. And I was like,
okay.
No.
I don't think that Scarlett attacked the cat, but Scarlett really likes to pressure her face into things to smell them, like, very strongly. Mm-hmm. And I'm pretty sure Scarlett just, like, put her face into the cat to smell it. Yeah. And the cat was like, oh my God, get away from me.
Yeah. I'm pretty sure that's all it was.
Yeah.
But anyway, so the cat went onto the neighbor's porch, and then we were like, all right, well, guess we're done. We'll go back to the gym now. So then we went to adults class, and we hung out there for like 2 hours, and then we came back, and the cat was still under the porch.
Yes.
Like I said, stagnant cat. But
and then it rained, and then the next morning we didn't see the cat anymore.
Yeah. Now we've been checking. But, like, also part of me was like, it's probably thirsty or hungry. Like, if it's a stray, it probably needs something. And then Nick was like, Brittany, you cannot feed the cat, then it will never leave.
Yeah.
I'm like, yeah, you're right. But then we thought about keeping it and locking it in a room in our house and trying to, like, acquaintance him and Scarlett together. And then we're like, no, it's a bad idea. We shouldn't have a cat.
It was a roller coaster of emotions.
I would say so.
Kind of like our topic today.
Yep.
I'm sure you guys have all been in that post-training haze when you're driving home and you're thinking about all the shit that happened to you while you were at the gym that day. Mm-hmm. So thinking about the technique, if it worked or not, thinking about your rolls, how they went, right? And that's the topic of our episode today.
Yeah. Yeah, so I kind of came up with this idea throughout the week just because I have been struggling with my guard passing this week. I've been having a lot of issues just doing the normal moves that I do because people are stuffing just about everything. And I felt, even though maybe it wasn't true, but like if you were probably recording my matches, it probably didn't add up. But in my head, kind of like a competition match, you just kind of feel like you're stuck in a position the entire round, even if you're not. Mm-hmm. So that's how I felt with all my rolls. I just felt like I was stuck in people's guard.
If you can't pass the guard, just leg lock them.
Right.
Duh.
So, there were days throughout the week that I was just like, like it really sucked today. And then there were other days that I was like, oh my God, I did it. And it made me just think about how literally jiu-jitsu is just such a roller coaster of emotions all the time.
All the time.
Especially after you're done rolling.
Yes. Yeah, it was funny. Well, not funny, I guess. But there was a specific time this week where we were driving home from the gym. And you were just sitting there, because I drive. And she was just sitting there like... And I was like, what's going on? She was like, I suck. She was like, I can't pass anyone's guard. I've been doing this for over 2 years. And I used to be able to pass guard, and now I forgot how to pass guard. And I was like, okay. Are you trying to pass, like, brand new white belts guard or, like, purple belts? And she's like, well, I guess it's the upper belts. And I was like, why are you comparing yourself to them?
I don't think it was comparing myself to them. I think it was...
No, it's comparing your guard pass technique against their guard retention. Subconsciously, that's what it is.
But that's the whole point. You're supposed to.
Right. But then, are you going to tell me that every white belt can pass every purple belt's guard all the time?
No. I don't know what you're talking about.
That's what I'm talking about.
So, yeah. I was just having issues passing people's guard this week.
Right. But that's a classic case of our emotions taking over the logic part of our brain. Mm-hmm. Right? Because as we train for a long time and we figure out techniques that work really well for us, okay, yes, initially they work really well for us, but our training partners are also growing through that process. And they also learn how to defend against that specific technique because we've done it to them multiple times at this point. Mm-hmm. And that's how we start growing together as a jiu-jitsu team. But, it's not, we don't need to compare ourselves to other people. I always like to say compare ourselves to ourselves yesterday.
Yep.
And she's still in the emotion part of the cycle. Yeah. Sure, that sounds right. Whatever. I just want to pass her guard.
Life coach over here. But no, I mean, think back to a day that you had really, really good rolls. Like, just you felt like every single round you were doing what you needed to do. Even if you were getting submitted, you felt like you were still defending better than normal, or maybe you got a submission that you've never gotten before. Like, everyone has those days when you just feel like you're on top of the world. And you go home and you just feel awesome. And you're, like, empowered by everything that just happened.
Yeah, or you got the move of the day.
Yeah. It's just, like, it's a very cool feeling to be able to accomplish what you were trying to do. And then there's other days when you are just like, man, everyone is submitting me today. Like, everyone. And it's just crazy. And not saying that you shouldn't tap often, but, like, it's just when you have those days where you just feel like you just keep getting tapped, it can hurt a little bit. Because you're like, damn, if I was on the street, I would die. Like, so.
Yes, there's that lens. But there's also the lens of if you're not tapping, you're not learning.
Right. That's true.
It's a tough balance because you don't want to tap also.
But that's where the roller coaster comes in.
Right.
And that's where you have all the emotions all the time. And luckily, we have each other that when we are driving home together, we do talk about that. And we, I feel like one of the first things we always say when we get in the car is like, oh yeah, my rolls were so-and-so today.
Yes. We talk about that every time we drive home.
Yeah. Like, oh, I had really so-and-so rolls today. Like, really good, really bad. I was just okay today. Or I felt really off today. Or, dang, I really got that. And it was super cool. And, like, that's always, like, the very first thing that we bring up on the ride home.
Yep.
And it's fun.
Yeah. An example of that was last week. We were driving home. And I don't know if it was the same day you were upset about guard passing. But I was like, man, I felt like all my rolls today were just flat. Like, nothing happened the way I wanted it to happen. And, like, it was just kind of blah. I felt like, what did I say? I wasn't Jiu-Jitsu Play-Doh. But I was just like, do you remember what I said?
No, but I remember that conversation.
Right.
I remember you saying you felt flat. And I don't know. I don't remember what you said, but.
Right, but it was something along those lines. Like, my jiu-jitsu is just, like, flat. That's probably the biggest part of it. Right. And I was like, you know what? It doesn't matter if I tapped out or not. I think I did tap a couple times that day, but it was like, yeah, it just wasn't there.
The way that it normally is
right.
What I mean.
Right. Because normally I can make things happen in jiu-jitsu. Like, at least reactions and reversals and change positions up. But some days, like that day, I was just like, man, I'll just flatten my back.
Shoot.
That was not fun.
Yeah. I don't remember what day it was for me. I think it was Friday? I don't know. But there was definitely that day that I was in the car and I'm just like, what the hell?
Yeah, you were like, I can't do jiu-jitsu.
Instantly got he was calling it, he's like, you have the blue belt blues already? And I was like, I don't think it's blues. I think I'm just, like, mad right now.
Yeah. Yeah, it is really frustrating when things that used to work all the time, especially, like, on specific people, and then they learn how to counter it somehow. They learned something in Jiu Jitsu, and then you're mad at them, like, damn it.
Yeah. But I think what you said to me that day was really helpful because you asked me, you were like, how did you even word it? You said something along the lines of like, are you learning from this? Like, do you want to keep growing out of it, or are you wanting to be done?
Right. Because, yeah, you said it wasn't blues, and I was like, okay, well, let's ask you this. Are you disappointed in yourself? Are you happy that there's things for you to work for, or are you just appreciating that you don't know the answer to all these things? And that you're understanding there's opportunity there for you.
And I said there was both. Because I said, obviously, I'm frustrated. But also, I think that really can affect your roles, too. Like, if you are starting to become frustrated in one role, and then maybe that carries into the next role, and then it just ends up being a snowball effect where, like, all of your roles are probably going to be crap at that point because you're so in your head and you're so much into the emotion part of it that you're not really thinking about the mental aspect anymore. You're more about like, oh, I'm just terrible at this, and last person beat me up, so you're probably going to beat me up too, and that's just how it keeps happening.
Yeah, where you're like, oh my god, I hate the person's side control.
Yeah.
I don't want to get there, and then you end up in side control, and then you're like,
yeah. Yep. And then I remember I was rolling with Ellie on Friday, and she came up to me, and this was probably like 10 rolls deep at this point, and she was just like, everyone's been tapping me today. Everyone. So I'm ready for you to do it too. And then I just felt like a lot of pressure at that point. So I was like, well, I'm rolling like absolute garbage today. So I'm probably not going to. And then of course I didn't. And I'm like, there you go. You got to roll without getting a tap. So have fun. And you could just tell that both of our energy was just like,
yes. Yeah. Yeah, that can be frustrating. Yeah. And it's always like, there's a period, I would say, from the time you leave the gym to the time you get home, where all of those things are like circling in your head.
Like, and what could you have done different?
Right.
Even if you had great rolls, you're probably still thinking, what could I have done different?
Yeah, or you're really capitalizing on what worked well.
Right.
So that you can routinely do that in the future.
Right. Or like, do you guys ever get mistake submissions? Like, you're not going for something, but then it just kind of falls in your lap, and you're like, oh, okay.
I mean, that's every roll. Just kidding.
But that's the kind of things that you can reflect on too, where like, okay, I didn't try to go for that, but I got it. How did I get there? Or like, how do I go for the thing that I'm actually going for instead of like, oh, here's an armbar again?
Those are white belt questions. I'm not gonna lie. Because most positions, like your dad says, eventually things dovetail off of every position. Mm-hmm. So for you, you're recognizing each feather off of that dovetail one at a time. Mm-hmm. And for me, I already understand the tail. So it's a surprise to you. But for other people, it's like, well, obviously, if they go this way, that's going to happen.
I think, no, that's not what I meant, though, because I get that. I understand that there's a different position and submission depending on how they counter it and all that stuff. Right. Like, I get that. But, like, there's been times, like, I'll slap bump and be like, okay, I really want to go for, like, a loop choke. But then it's like, oh, I'm not getting there, so now I'm going to go for this armbar instead. Okay. Like, that's what I meant.
That is the dovetail.
Is it?
Yes.
I guess what I'm thinking about what you're saying is that, like, you're in a position. Like, let's say you're in triple threat. You have 3 different options that you can do right then and there. Mm-hmm. You have a million more, but, like, the 3 basic ones are armbar Kimura or omoplata.
So you're just not, you're not even talking about a position. You're talking about a submission that you want to go for?
Yeah.
From, like, standing or from, like, not even engaging yet?
Basically. Like, what's your goal? What's your purpose of the role? What are you trying to do? What do you want to work on that day? Like, that's what I'm talking about. Like, you go in and you're like, today I really just want to work on getting out of bottom side control. And then it's like, oh, well, I'm in mount the whole time, so I'm not even getting there. Oh, like, that kind of thing.
Yeah.
So.
I think that's also a white belt thing. Because if you want to get to a position, you just get there. She's making a bed.
So our dog just jumped on the couch, and then she stood up on the back of the couch pillow and then pulled it down, like the big couch cushion, pulled it down, and is now kneading it to make herself a bed.
Yeah, she made a big bed. There's also a blanket there.
Spoiled brat. All right. Anyway. But I think that just goes with the whole emotion of it all, though.
Yes. Yeah, but you were saying you're being surprised by where you end up in the role.
Okay, so I guess let me put it this way. I love arm bars. I'm going for arm bars on literally everyone. I'm hitting them on a lot of people right now. Like, that is just my submission. And now I'm at the point where I'm just like, I want to go for something that's not an arm bar, but I keep ending up in an arm bar because it's there and it's available to me. That is what I mean, is that I'm surprised that I am not going for other things because it's just so easy for me to get an arm bar. That's what I'm talking about.
Okay.
So I'm trying to go outside of my comfort zone because my comfort zone right now is arm bars. And obviously there's a lot of room for improvement right there. But like, I love doing it from triple threat. I will physically work myself to get to triple threat so that I can arm bar the crap out of people. That's just what I'm doing. So I'm constantly ending up in triple threat, and then I'm sitting there and I'm like, well, I really should go for a Kimura instead, or I should go for an omoplata instead. But I'm going to keep just going for this armbar because that's what I know how to do and I want to make it better. And that's what I'm saying. Like, I'm surprised that I'm not going for other things, even though they're available to me.
Okay. So you just got to make that decision to do it.
Yeah, you're not fun to talk to about this right now.
What do you mean?
Move on.
Okay. I mean, that's why you're just, like you said, you're taking the easy route. The one that's more comfortable to you. Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
So, what were you struggling with this week?
Being flat.
Well,
that
you
one
said
day.
You want to talk about it more?
I mean, I don't remember it, honestly. I have a bad memory. But I feel like it's because we didn't roll for 2 days.
Yeah.
And we went back to the gym. And our cardio, because we had like allergies or some sinus thing. And our cardio just wasn't there.
I'm pretty sure we had a sinus infection this week.
Yeah, something like that.
A lot of people were getting sick, though, too. There's a couple people that said they were staying home this week because they weren't feeling good and they didn't want to get people sick. And
yeah,
we said the same thing. We went on Tuesday, even though we weren't feeling that great, but that was because we knew it was a class that we could work together away from people.
Mm-hmm.
So we still wanted to, like, get a workout in because we didn't feel awful. Like, we didn't feel bedridden sick, but we still wanted to get a workout in.
Yeah.
So we still went to class, but we stayed at the end of the mat away from everyone. And by everyone, I mean, like, we were literally 25 feet away from everyone. And then we just worked with each other. But then we decided to not go Wednesday and Thursday. And we decided to get COVID tested just in case. And it came back negative. We knew it would. But then we just wanted to be able to tell people if they were like, well, what if you have COVID? And we'd be like, well, we don't. That was our goal.
Yeah.
So we stayed home Wednesday and Thursday. And just rolled together in the basement.
Yep. You got a free private lesson.
We did. We worked on stuff. It was cool.
It was fun. We did some of the drilling from Jeff Glover's seminar. Mm-hmm. And then we went over butterfly sweeps. Some of my favorite stuff in the world.
Yeah, it still didn't work for me.
No?
I tried it on a very, very, very big guy.
Well.
Yeah, I know.
Okay.
But there was the emotion again. Like, him and I worked on butterfly sweep just because I've been having an issue with it, and I found out what my problem was. But then I was like, okay, I'm going to go try it out now on the biggest person here just to see if I know how to do it. And then it didn't work, and I was like, damn it! And then that's, of course,
one time.
That's probably the day that I was like, ah!
That's so funny. I love it.
Yeah, that was the only time I tried it. Because I was like, I don't want to do anymore.
Okay. Oh, that's fun. But yeah, I love teaching that stuff. I love butterfly sweeps. Yeah, because you were asking me, you were like, whenever I butterfly sweep people, I don't get their legs up over my head. And I don't know how that happens. And I was like, I got you. Ooh, my leg fell asleep.
Oh.
Yep. Interesting. Whew, I sweat myself.
Well, anyway.
Yeah.
So we worked on some butterfly sweeping, and then we worked on a lot of deep half from Jeff Glover's seminar, which was cool. Which I got into that a few times. I was rolling with Mike Coy yesterday, and he ended up in deep half, and I was like, no. Like, I literally in the middle, I'm like standing in the top of deep half, and I was like, no. And he was like, what?
Stop looking at me like that.
If you're just listening and not watching, Nick is literally standing up and massaging his leg because he said it fell asleep.
It's dead all the way to my butt. My whole leg is numb. But, sorry.
Yeah, so I told Mike, I was like, no! And he was like, what? And I'm like, I know you did a private with Jeff Glover. Get off of me. I don't want to be here.
Yeah, he went into more deep half stuff with us than he did with the whole seminar.
Yep.
It was fantastic.
I believe it.
I loved it.
Yep.
Yes.
Same with, I was rolling with Dave on Friday, and he was like, yeah, I'm waiting for you to pass my guard. And I was like, I don't want to. Because he was trying to do, I knew what he was trying to do from that spot. And I was like, no. And he's like, well, why not? And I'm like, because I know and I don't want to.
Yes, that's good. I love it. Yeah. This week, though, I was really working on one of the things that Jeff Glover said in our private lesson, the 4 S's of every guard. Do you remember what they are? I told it to you once.
Sweep, submission.
Mm-hmm.
That's all I got.
Yep. So the first 2 are easy, sweep and submission. That happens from every guard. But the other 2 S's that happen from every guard is people stall. At some point, you're going to stall in your guard to set something up or to stop their momentum or whatever. And then at some point, which is what I've been working on all week this week, is you try to stand up from your guard. And that's the one thing that people always forget to do in any guard is if, like, you can't sweep, if they've got great posture, you can't submit them, you just can't do anything with your guard. You know, worst case scenario, freaking push them away and do a technical stand-up and get up. And then you're not on your back anymore. Especially in, like, any self-defense scenario. And then I was like, oh, yeah. And then I specifically remember there's a couple times I've done that in tournament. Do you remember those times?
Vaguely.
And I just collar dragged, went straight to loop choke?
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah.
You just did that in the last one. Didn't you? Or at least tried?
No, I don't know. The last tournament, I blocked out of my memory forever.
Yeah.
But I do that often, and I've forgotten about it. So that's what I drilled this week. Specifically a lot is people just trying to hold me down in guard and stall. And me on the bottom, just like hip heisting and pushing their face out of the way and standing up. And then I drag them to the ground and spin around, attack their back immediately. Just like that. It's super fun. It's a good drill anyways. And then I had your dad do it to me. And he was being so mean. I just have this like 190-pound black belt. Like, you're not moving anywhere. That's what it felt like. Mm-hmm. And then I got up like a couple times in the 5-minute round. Which I was like surprised. That's good. But then he chased me with a single leg and just put me back on the ground. And I was like, okay, great. But I had a good time doing that this week. Because I'm competing next weekend. Yeah. And then we're going to have like an hour and a half drive home for me to have this same level of emotion afterwards.
Yeah, so I guess that's a good way to put it too, is the emotion before competition and after competition. Yeah. Talk about a roller coaster.
Yeah.
Like if you think just going to the gym and your normal training day session is a roller coaster of emotions, you've probably never competed.
Yes. So it's really funny, you're talking about this roller coaster of emotions. When I drive for Uber, sometimes I get like kind of drowsy and I gotta think of something to like wake me up, and I can't just like blast music if I have a passenger, or like sometimes people just don't talk, and when for some reason if I drive in the daytime and don't talk or sing or listen to a book I'm interested in, I will just fall asleep.
That's safe.
Yeah, I know, right? But some people don't like talking in Uber rides, and I'm like, you're so boring. But anyways, one of the things I think about, if I think about a competition match, my heart rate physically goes up, and I can feel adrenaline start to surge in my body when I think about competition matches. When I think about, okay, ref says combate, I gotta...
Hate that word.
Right? And then I gotta go. And I can feel it in my body whenever I think, okay, what am I going to do? How's this going to work? What am I working towards? What are my strengths? So I do a lot of like mental prep during those times when I'm falling asleep so I can wake up.
That's kind of cool though. So this morning I was scrolling through Facebook and I follow BJJ Fanatics. If you're listening to this and you train, you don't follow them, you should probably follow them. But
Talking about the group or the page?
The group.
They got a good group.
Yeah, they ask a lot of really good questions and have good discussions and then post some really funny memes, and it's just a good group to be in if you train. It keeps your mind open. But there was someone in there that I saw this morning and they posted and they were like, how do you guys like to get ready for competition? And he just phrased it with a story of his, just saying like, every time that I'm getting ready to compete, I just freeze. And he said that he doesn't know how to overcome those nerves, and he was asking if anyone else knows how to like overcome the nerves because he doesn't like competing now because they're just so bad. And then he doesn't win a match because when he comes out there, he just gets instantly submitted in like 20 seconds because he's just so frozen, is the way that he put it. And so I commented and I was like, competition nerves are always going to be there, and you just have to learn how to handle them.
Mm-hmm.
And the advice that I gave him in my comment was that you just need to find the things that hype you up, and then the nerves won't go away, but it'll make it better. So for some examples that I gave, I was like, make a playlist of all the music that will get your heart racing and like you ready to go out there. Find a partner who wants to go 110% with you. Find 2 takedowns that you really like and then drill them over and over and over and over and over and over and over. And I gave one more too. But I mean, competition nerves, I get ill. Like, I get physically ill at competition. Even when I'm not competing and he is, like, I guarantee this Saturday I'll probably be sick the whole time because that's just how I get. And I hate it. Like, I actually don't like competing because of those nerves. But once you're, like, on the mat, I feel like they go away. So the fact that he froze was just very interesting to me.
Mm-hmm.
But that's why I said, like, you just
different strokes for different folks.
Yeah. I'm like, you just have to find a way to hype yourself up. Because I think what's happening is you're going out there and freezing because you're so scared. Because you didn't get yourself mentally prepared for it. And so all you can do is just work on that emotion and figure out your body and figure out how you work and how your mind works and how your brain works and go with it.
Yeah. So those nerves can be really hard to manage. Mm-hmm. One of the things, my favorite thing to tell people about nerves is that any feeling of anxiousness that you have physically in your body, it's actually the same physical response that you would have if you were excited about something. So if you've ever thought about something you're excited about, I know I'm excited this Friday, I got a concert coming up. If you're excited maybe for your wedding, excited for maybe like a high school dance. I don't know what people get excited about nowadays. Most people don't get like excited to go to work and stuff, right?
Oh, sorry, I just remembered. The last thing I told him was to go watch back his matches that he lost on, figure out where he froze, and then go drill that.
Yes.
Like if you froze in stand up, go drill stand up. If you froze when you were in bottom mount, go drill bottom mount.
Yes.
Like go watch your matches as much as it's painful to watch your matches sometimes.
Oh, absolutely. That's where I started every roll from bottom side control for half a year. Mm-hmm. When I lost like 2 matches because I couldn't get out from bottom side control. Now I'm like harder to hold down.
I did that with front headlock.
Yes, absolutely.
My first match, I was in a front headlock for 3 minutes and I couldn't get out. And I didn't start a match in front headlock at the gym, but I definitely drilled it a lot. Mm-hmm. I was like, Adam, help me.
Yes.
So continue. Sorry.
But yeah, I was talking about the feeling of being excited is the same physical reaction that you have to being nervous, which is nerves, or anxious, which I feel like the anxiety part is a little more deep rooted, and it's a little bit going against the confidence that you might have in your game or your jiu-jitsu in general, right? So that's something that you have to work on in a longer period of time, but nerves are always going to be there. And nerves are very easily translated into excitement if you reframe it in your brain. This is something I learned from Mel Robbins in the 5-Second Rule, if you've ever read that book, which is also inspiration for me to become a life coach. Anyways, if you are nervous about anything, you can reframe that same physical feeling into being excited by saying, like, physically out loud, I'm excited. It will change nerves to excitement.
Kind of
and you will feel it.
I mean, I think a lot of people have heard in their lifetime that if you're upset, you just have to force a smile on for 10 seconds and you'll probably feel better.
A little bit, yeah.
And that's kind of what
a little
that
dopamine
is.
surge. But,
yeah, you just trick your brain.
Yeah, but that's different because it's not the physics. That's different physiologically and mentally, whereas anxiety or nerves and excitement are the same physiologically already. Does that make sense?
Sure.
No?
I mean, it does. So.
Okay. So that's why it's easy to change the label in your brain and then use that to your advantage. Easier, I should say. But yeah, I feel like being completely anxious is a lack of confidence in your drilling in the game that you practice in the gym. Unfortunately. Because, like, I'm confident in the gym, but when I go out to competition, it's like, okay, what's going to happen? And I just got to trust, okay, I've put myself in many bad situations, and I've gotten out of them before, so I can do it again. And then that's where, like you said, watching back matches and learning from them and working on spots that you got stuck on in matches, hugely beneficial.
Yeah. Because, I mean, even for people who have been training for years and years and years, they probably still look back at their matches and are like, well, I could definitely do that better. Or, like, people still get stuck. Like, even at purple and brown belt level, like, sometimes you just get someone who's way more experienced in a position than you are, and you're just not used to what they're doing to you. So you still get stuck.
Yeah. And especially at those higher levels, people start to specialize in certain positions, right? So maybe you're really good at deep half guard, but somebody else is really good at, like, back mount. And then you're like, oh, normally I'm able to get out of someone's back mount to deep half, but not on this dude. Now what?
Yeah, just things like that. And it's always good to look back, learn, grow. And that's why we reflect so much on our roles on our way home, is because we like to talk out loud about where we struggled, where we succeeded, what we were feeling, and how it impacted the rest of our day. Yeah. Because, like I said earlier in this podcast, is that, like, if I have a bad roll, it typically just starts snowballing for me. Like, I can kind of tell when I'm going to have a bad night of rolling based on how my first roll goes. Maybe that's just me, but I don't know. I try not to let it bother me. Like, if I have a bad roll, like, I try to analyze why I had a bad roll. Like, was it because they were more skilled than me? Was it because they were much larger than me? Was it because I was just not, like, was I not attacking? Was I only defending? And then I just wasn't defending properly? Like, it's always stuff that I like to think about. And then when I move on to the next one, we'll just kind of see how it goes. But
yeah, my mentality is always look for the best part of the roll. So if it's, I had a good time because things worked for me, that's great. Other times it's, I had a good time because I learned so much in that roll from what went wrong. So most times I just have a good outlook, but that's how I live life in general.
Yeah, but I mean, I feel like it comes with experience too, to be able to analyze your roll.
Yes.
Like, it's not something that you can do within the first year of training.
Right.
Where you're just like, oh, well, I was able to, like, really get my foot in this position, and that's how I got them down, and, like, maybe if I just adjust it, like, you don't do that.
Yeah, as a white belt, you don't understand that until maybe, like, 4 stripes in. You start to, like, understand the minutia, and you start to learn when people do things to you that you can also do that to people, or you can stuff those little things, but that takes a bit more experience, that's for sure. But yeah, I have had people do moves to me, and as they were doing it to me, I learned that move, and then now I'm able to replicate that. Which
that's
I don't think
cool
it's
skill.
Yeah, that's not a basic jiu-jitsu practitioner's mindset while rolling.
No, it's a skill.
Yeah,
and it's something that you had to learn and adapt yourself to, because your first year of training, you probably were not even close to being able to do that.
Oh, absolutely not. I was like, what is going on?
Yeah.
How do I not get choked?
Once
Why
you
am
make
I
it,
flying?
Once you make it past the first year, things start making a lot more sense, I feel.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that first year is just kind of chaos.
Yeah, it really is. And then things start to click.
Yeah. You're like, oh, I've seen that. Oh, that didn't work.
Mm-hmm. Or you see people's variations on things.
Yeah.
And how people grip things differently, even.
Mm-hmm.
And
you start to learn how
little
people roll,
adjustments.
too. Like, it's not just like, oh, that blue belt is going to be the same as that blue belt, or that brown belt is the same as that brown belt. Like, my goodness, rolling with Jason Bergman versus Brett is so different. And when you and Dave were both blue, like, it was very different rolling with each of you. And then it just goes for everyone. Like, belts are not the same. Like, just because that person's a 2-stripe white belt does not mean they're going to roll the same as that other 2-stripe white belt. Like,
yes.
But you don't really put that together. When you first start, when you're 0 and even 1 stripe, you're just like, oh, well, they're 2 stripes, so they're going to be able to just, like, murder me.
Right.
Just like that other 2-stripe white belt can. Or if you're just starting out and you see a black belt, you're just like, well, that black belt's going to kill you, which they will. But it's probably going to be in a way different way than the next black belt will. Like, Mike Coy kills me in ways that my dad doesn't. And then vice versa. Like, they both can very easily. But they just have very different styles and very different techniques. And you kind of learn that as you start rolling with them. Yeah. Like, you learn what they do. And so then you can start moving your game into who you're rolling with. Like, oh, I'm going to roll with this person. I know they move a lot, so I have to just be prepared for that. Mm-hmm. Or, like, I'm going to roll with this person, and they're just going to let me do whatever I want to them, like Brett. So then that's when I can really start, like, working on my gripping and my positioning and all that stuff. Like, you...
Playing with more things.
Yeah. So you have to, like, kind of learn who you're rolling with and what they do. But again, that comes with experience. You're not just going to slap bump with a brand new person and be like, all right, like, I think you're going to do this, and then they don't.
Yeah, so they don't have normal reactions to things yet either.
Yeah. Well, I know I rolled with a newer white belt yesterday, and it was my first time rolling with him, and I didn't know what to expect, because I had never rolled with him before. And I was just like, well, he's either going to be a floppy fish, or he's going to be Superman strength.
Yeah.
So we'll see.
Yeah, that's always fun. Yes. But yeah, everybody has their own jiu-jitsu flavor, which is another reason why competition has another level of intensity, because you don't know what their flavor is until you're halfway through the match, and then you've got to adjust.
Well, the craziest part about competition emotion like that is that not only do you not know what they're going to do, but also... What was I going to say? Crap. I forgot. Okay, continue. Dang it!
Yeah, so everybody has their own flavor, and you're trying to figure it out.
Oh, they're trying to kill you. They're, like, literally trying to kill you. And no one is there to stop them except for a ref. Like, that's a lot of trust that you're putting in a ref.
Or them respecting the tap.
Yeah. Like, at the gym, you pretty much know your training partner is probably going to let go when you tap. If they don't, you probably shouldn't train with them anymore. But at the gym, you have that culture. You trust that person. You trust your training partner. You like your training partner. But at competition, you only know their name because it's on your bracket, not because you've talked to them.
Most of the time.
You don't know what they're gonna do, and they're going balls to the wall, 110%.
Right. And it's like when you're at the gym, if I've got a loop choke, I get my grips, I get my positioning, and I slowly start putting it in there, so that way I'm not like giving people a gi burn across their neck and, you know, crushing them and making life miserable for them, so that they can also learn, oh, I'm getting synced up in a loop choke, I should probably tap now. But in competition, I'm just trying to slap it on, technically, obviously, but as technically superior and as fast as possible.
Yeah. To
make them tap where they are unaware that they're even in a loop choke yet. But that comes at the cost of burning out my grips.
Yep.
And also potentially putting them in like physical pain for a period of time.
Yeah.
Which you don't do that
belly.
to your training partners. Oh my goodness. Yes, knee on belly, right in the floating rib.
Yeah.
To make them lose their will to survive.
Yeah.
I love that feeling, but I don't do that to my training partners.
That's the other scary part about competition, though. is that you know you have to slap it on fast. You don't have time to sit there and like adjust unless you like really have them controlled. But typically they're also going to be going 110%. And they're not just going to like sit there and be like, okay, let me see if they can get this in. And then I'll try to, they're going to probably try to roll out of it. So you have to be on point and sharp with your techniques by the time you go into competition, or you probably shouldn't expect to get a submission if you're not on point with your submissions. Like, you can win by points for sure, and that's typically what happens in a lot of white belt matches, is that they don't have that technique yet in order to slap things on super quick without thinking about it. So a lot of white belt matches do go the whole 5 minutes because they have to go to points. Yeah. And it's not that there's not technique there, it's just that you're trying to learn how to apply it in a really fast-paced setting.
In a real-life situation.
Yes.
Which is difficult.
Like, I know out of my matches, even just the last one I did when I was a 3-stripe white belt, 2 of my 4 matches went the whole 5 minutes.
Mm-hmm.
And I felt really confident going in there. Like, I felt like I was going to win all of them. And I did, but 2 of them went the whole 5 minutes. And that's the kind of things that I reflect about, where I'm like, what could I have done different to make that not go 5 minutes? So I didn't have to burn all my energy, where I could have gotten that submission that I was working on. Like, how could I have adjusted that a little bit better and faster? And it's all the emotion.
Yeah, same thing with me with last competition. Like, a lot of my matches went to points, and I lost them. Also, I was just super flat that day anyways. But, yeah, that was a rough go. That was the worst. I talked about it last time. Still the worst competition experience I ever had in my life.
Yeah.
And I can't blame anyone else. Yeah.
And I think that's something that we can really take for granted as jiu-jitsu practitioners, is that we take for granted our emotions, and that when you feel this way, it's because you're learning from it, and it's because you want to get better. Like, you don't just sit there and be like, oh, I suck, I'm never going to go back. And maybe sometimes you do, but...
Yeah, and then they don't come back.
But then that's when you just know it's not for you. But, like, when you can sit there and, like, really reflect on your emotions, the roller coaster of emotions that you have, you're learning from that, and you're learning what you did and how to make it better, so that hopefully that doesn't happen to you again.
Mm-hmm.
And if it does, hopefully it's from a different position.
Yeah.
Like, I hope to never feel the way that I did about front headlocks ever again in my life. Like, yeah, maybe I'll get stuck in a front headlock, but I hope I never, ever, ever feel the way that I did after that competition, because I put my hard work into it.
Mm-hmm.
And I still do get stuck in front headlocks. And every time I get stuck in a front headlock, I always sit there for half a second and I'm like, I hate this position so much. And like, it brings back like a PTSD in my mind of that competition.
Yeah.
Where I was just stuck there. But then you work through that. And you try to get through it, and you try to come out better on the other end.
Yes.
Or guard passing. Work on your freaking guard passing. Hardest part about guard passing is there's 300 million ways to pass guard, so it's hard to pick one.
And there's a lot of guard retention techniques out there.
Mm-hmm.
And so many different kinds of guards.
Front headlock is much smaller in that division. That's one thing. And you can do like 10 or 12 or 20 different things from front headlock, but it's not a million like guard. So
yep.
It's easier to drill.
Yes, that's true. But yeah, I was going to say also that I'm really grateful that we get to drive home together and always get to discuss this stuff with each other. Because it really solidifies things that we learned from our roles that day.
Yeah. I think another thing, and this is probably just a me thing unless you train with your significant other and they are higher than you. So I guess that's probably where it would occur. But when I am talking with Nick about things that I really, really struggle with, and then he's just like, oh yeah, I got that right away. And I'm like, screw you! Shut up! I didn't get it, so don't rub it in my face.
Whoops.
He does that a lot. Or like, he can just see a move and then he just does it, and it takes me 10 tries and I'm still doing something wrong. That's really hard. That's a really, really, really big emotion that I struggle with, is like seeing how good he is at things and how much repetition it takes for me to get something. But then that goes back to, you can't compare yourself. You have to just learn at your own pace. But it really sucks when he can just pick something up and I'm like, what just happened?
Right.
And that's not me being a white belt. That's just our learning styles being different. It's very frustrating.
Us being different.
Yeah.
our brains working in completely different ways.
Yeah. So, and I know, like, we were just talking with Miguel last night, and he said he's the same way as me. Like, he needs to do stuff over and over and over and over and over before he can finally get it.
Mm-hmm.
And that's, I feel like, how a lot of people are. I think you're more unique in that style.
Possibly.
It's frustrating.
Yeah, I've been hitting Tarika Pilates ever since I was introduced to it.
Yeah, I hate you.
It's surprising. It's very surprising to me how easy the move is.
Keep rubbing it in. Keep putting salt in the wound. Keep doing it.
I don't mean it like that.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. I love Jiu Jitsu. It's super fun, though. All of these, I'd say this roller coaster is totally worth it, though.
Mm-hmm.
Because the highs are super high. And the lows, I don't even see them as lows. I see them as, like,
Learning
huge opportunities. And as long as you frame things like that, it's much easier to handle versus, like, just being in that zone where you're like, I suck. Nothing I do works. I should quit.
Yeah. I think
this is not worth it.
I think my personal motivation for the opportunity side of it, like that perspective, is that I am a female. So I'm already like on the minority side of the sport. And I can't wait until I get to that point in my jiu-jitsu career where I can start working with other females. And when I see them struggling, I can just be like, I was there too. And then that is just, it's such a confidence boost when you hear that you're not alone and that you're not the only one struggling with a certain position or a certain move. Mm-hmm. Because I know even now I'm helping brand new white belt females every time that they come into the gym. Like I'm typically the one who works with them. And I always have to tell them, like, for the first, like, couple months, that was really hard. Like, I didn't get that for a very long time. And you can just kind of, like, see it in their eyes, which is just like, really? Like, okay, that makes me feel a lot better. And sure, yeah. I think that motivation is a really huge stepping stone in my jiu-jitsu journey, is I want to be able to motivate other people by telling them about what I had to go through to get to where I was, or to get to where I will be. You know what I mean? Because I think that's a big thing for my dad, too, is that he always is telling us, he's like, okay, I'm going to show you this move, and he teaches it for like 5 minutes or so, and then he goes through each step individually and how to do it and all that stuff, and then as soon as he finishes telling us about the move, he's like, that took me 6 months to learn, and I just taught you that in 5 minutes. Mm-hmm. And I think that is so cool.
Yeah, it's true.
So that's a big... can you imagine how he must have felt for those 6 months trying to get that move, too?
Yeah, and then all of a sudden something just clicked. And that was still back in when you had to figure out jiu-jitsu for yourself. Yeah. Because nowadays you can just look up technique on anything, anywhere. Mm-hmm. Or just buy instructionals or...
Right.
Yeah.
So, being better to motivate others is a really, really, really big thing for me.
That's good. It's good that you're trying to help people out, too.
Much as I can. But
yeah.
It's always, there's always things to think about and reflect. And I think that's the biggest part about this podcast, is just to be able to reflect on yourself and why you feel the way that you do. And there's no shame in feeling any sort of way. If you feel confident and great, like, that's fantastic. If you feel down and low, like, figure out why. And I think you just have to reflect on yourself and like
do something about it.
Yeah, like I told that guy in BJJ Fanatics, like, you really just have to figure out how you react to things and learn your body. And then once you know yourself better than anyone else does, then you can start working on yourself.
That's true. Yeah, it's one thing I always say, you can't change what isn't measured. So if you don't know what you're good at, and if you don't know where you're failing, how are you supposed to change those things or use them to your advantage?
Yeah, and I think that's a lot of struggle for brand new people all the time, is like, well, where are you struggling? Everywhere.
Yeah.
And it's like, okay. But like, where do you feel like you get caught the most?
And then they're like, I don't know. I get choked a lot.
Yeah. Yep. So,
it's very common.
Emotions.
Yeah. Yeah, that's something we help each other out with a lot, though. Thankfully.
Well, I think that's about as far as I have on this topic right now.
I like roller coasters.
Roller coasters are fun. Did my dad go to Six Flags today?
I think so. He said he was going to.
Sounds fun.
Yeah. Well, let us know in the comments what your roller coasters are like. I know that like after driving home from the gym, like when we do drive separately, I really like listening to books in the car. But I found out that if I drive home after the gym and try to listen to a book, I will listen to 0% of it because my mind will just be wrapped up in what happened during that training session. It's like an unconscious thing that I can't stop thinking about what just happened, whether or not it was good or bad.
Yeah, that makes sense.
How is it when you drive separately?
I don't like driving without talking to someone, so I typically call someone on my way home.
Oh.
If I'm by myself. But I have learned that after the gym, I don't like talking to people either. Like, I just kind of want to drive and listen to the radio, and that's it. Since my stupid phone won't hook up to my car. But, yeah, no, I definitely like to reflect too. And like I said, normally I like to call people, but after the gym I don't.
Right. That's why I said normally I like to listen to books, but after the gym I don't. I can't focus on anything else. I'm incapable of changing my focus.
Yep. Makes sense. But yeah, let us know how you feel in the comments. And no, I'm not going to say that. Never mind. All right. Well, thanks for listening, guys.
Okay. Yes. Evaluate yourself and you will get better.
For sure.
Okay. Well, thanks so much, guys. Hope you have a great week.
See you next week. We have Muay Thai coming on next week, so listen for that.